Well, in the problem number 4, we have to find out real rate of return. To compute real rate of return, we have to have nominal rate of return. So in the problem number 4, we have to consider the nominal rate of return which we computed in the problem number 1, 2 and 3, the holding period yield or SPY. So as you can see that in the problem number 1 SPY we have 19.1%, which is 0.191. Then in the problem number 2 we have SPY which is 1.5%, or we can write numerically minus 0.015. And thirdly, in the problem number 3 SPY, where we see that 28%, or numerically we can write 0.28. And also we have given in this problem the inflation rate. So two different inflation rate we have here. So first one is 4%, so it can be written as 0.04, and also inflation rate 8%, 0.08. So as I have already told you that we have to find out real rate of return. Here you can see the real rate of return. We have to use this equation or formula, where in the numerator part 1 plus nominal rate of return. So here nominal rate of return, I said that we have to write SPY, and in the denominator part 1 plus inflation rate. So we have two different inflation rates. We will see what should be the real rate of return when 4% and 8%, and also we have to subtract 1 from this 1 plus nominal rate and 1 plus inflation rate. So from this part we have to subtract 1 to get the real rate of return. So if we just consider 4% as inflation rate, then in the problem number 1 real rate of return, we can write just input from the data we have. So in the problem number 1 we have nominal rate of return, which is SPY here. So 1 plus 0.191, and we have to divide it by 1 plus 0.04 here. 0.04 is the inflation rate, and subtracting 1 we have here 1.191 in the denominator after summation, and we have also summation of 1.04 minus 1, and after division we can write here 1.145 minus 1. So after subtracting 1 here you can write 0.145 into 100 to show in percentage. So finally we can write 14.5%. So this 14.5% is the real rate of return, and if we just consider the 4% of inflation rate, we have a nominal rate of return 19.1%. So that 19.1%, if we adjust by 4% inflation rate, then we will have 14.5% as real rate of return. So in this way we have to compute both of them, following problem number 2 and 3. So here in the problem number 2 you can see that real rate of return we have 1 plus SPY, or nominal rate of return, which we have minus 1.5%, or numerically we have written here minus 0.015, and same again inflation rate. Here you can see 1 plus 0.04 minus 1. So after summation of numerator you can see that we have 0.985 and divided by 1.04, so minus 1 here, and then we can write in the next step 0.947 minus 1, and then after subtraction we can write here minus 0.053 into 100, and finally it should be minus 5.3%. It is also negative real rate of return, considering the nominal rate minus 1.5% and adjusting with the inflation rate, we will have the real rate of return minus 5.3% as the real rate of return, as we are just computing real rate of return in this problem, in the problem number 4. And lastly, problem number 3, you can see that real rate of return we have to just replace the percentage of nominal rate of return, where we have 28%, so we can write 0.28, and we have to divide as the denominator here 1 plus 0.04, inflation rate minus 1. So in the numerator, if we sum, then we can write 1.28, very simple issue. So we have to divide it by 1.04 and subtracting 1 here. And then after division, we can write 1.231 minus 1, and here we will get, after subtraction, 0.231 and into 100, and finally 23.1%. So 23.1% should be the real rate of return. So considering 28% as the nominal rate of return, if we consider 4% of inflation rate, we will have finally 23.1% as real rate of return. So in this way we can find out the real rate of return. Now we will see the next part where 8% of inflation rate, at that time what should be the real rate of return on the basis of given nominal rate of return, or SPY here in this problem, 19.1% minus 1.5% and 28%. Well, in the time of inflation rate 8%, we have to just change the rate of inflation in the denominator, where you can see that 1 plus 0.08, which is the 8% of inflation rate. So same again, we have to consider SPY, or nominal rate of return, 19.1% in the problem number 1. So 1 plus 0.191, and we have to divide it by 1 plus 0.08 minus 1. So here you can see the value 1.191 in the numerator, and denominator 1.08 minus 1. So if we divide, we will have 1.1028 minus 1, and then after subtraction we will have 0.1028 into 100. So finally we will have 10.28% as real rate of return, considering the 19.1% as nominal rate of return, here SPY, and 8% of inflation rate. And in this way, in the problem number 2, when nominal rate of return is minus 1.5%, that time we have to write 1 plus minus 0.015 by 1 plus inflation rate 8% and minus 1, and after summation we will have in the numerator 0.985 and in the denominator 1.08 minus 1. We will have 0.912 minus 1. So after subtraction we will have minus 0.088 into 100, and here we will see minus 8.8%. So minus 8.8% should be the real rate of return, considering 8% of inflation rate. And finally, in the problem number 3, when the nominal rate of return, or SPY, 28%, that time we just require to input into the equation 1 plus 0.28 in the numerator. In the denominator we have to just input 1 plus inflation rate, which is 0.08 minus 1, and then we can write a sum in the numerator 1.28 by 1.08, then subtracting 1, and after division we can write 1.1852 minus 1, and after subtraction it should be 0.1852 into 100, and it is 18.52% as real rate of return, considering 28% of nominal rate and 8% of inflation rate. So in this way you can compute real rate of return from the given nominal rate of return, considering any percentage of inflation rate.